What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Rock of Truth podcast. Before we get into it, just want to give a quick word from our sponsor, Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Head down to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Tell Danco Joe that the Rock of Truth podcast sent you. Tell him Happy New Year. Tell him whatever you want, man. Just tell him that we're thinking of him and that the boys sent you and that you want a discount. We'll see what he's got for you. So that's our word from Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Let's get into it. Fellas, how we doing?
Dude, Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Did you guys enjoy your holiday season?
Yeah. Yeah, it
I
was
did.
great.
Anything? Are you clipping your toenails right now?
No.
Yes, he is. I'm frustrated that the
How about Aaron?
Bearcats. I'm frustrated.
Why not? Yeah, I didn't think you guys could hear it.
Oh, we can
Now
hear
that I
it.
know you can hear it, I'm not.
Dude,
Oh, we can hear it.
you just flicked it through the screen.
Did you think that we were deaf?
Deaf?
I don't know. I didn't think it was that loud, to be honest.
Stanley,
you-
tell me about your New Year.
Have you never trimmed your nail? Okay. Enough about Sven's nails. I'm more frustrated that Vermont and Bryant is still on the TV and I can't watch the Bearcats right now. But holiday season was good, man. Took the trek to Oklahoma. It was a pain in the ass to get back, but we're here and yeah.
Did you fly Southwest?
Well, the attempt was to fly Southwest. Yes. Never boarded a Southwest plane. Yeah.
But did they cancel their flight on you?
Yeah, actually, a funny story. Don't get like a notification or anything. Go through security, walking through. I'm like, little hungry, don't need a full meal, and stumble upon a little Smoothie King. I'm like, oh, perfect. Just give me a little smoothie. Sitting at my gate, 10, 15 minutes go by, plane's at the gate. We're boarding in about 20 minutes. So about 25 minutes go by and kind of like, all right, why aren't we're not boarding the plane? Kind of what's going on? And the gate it was like me and 6 other people sitting there. So I was hyped. I'm like, dude, I'm going to lay down on this plane. Like, I'm not going to be by anybody. And another 5 minutes go by, I just kind of walk, check the screen, and just everything says canceled.
Really?
Yeah. And then I tried to get on the next flight to Chicago, Midway, thinking about just making my connection through American, and like tried to make the gate, ended up not making it. So it was a pretty anxious nightmare. Got to stay another night with my family though, my brother and his wife. So
could be worse.
Yeah.
Could have been stranded somewhere.
Also, yeah, the lady I sat next to eventually the next day when I flew home, she said that they were stranded for about 36 hours. I'm like, yeah, that's awful. So
that's tough. The reason I brought up Southwest is because I have my own shit show of a travel story that I can get into, but I got an email today, and I don't know if you checked your email or not, but Southwest CEO sent out to like anybody who's been flying Southwest lately, like an apology letter, basically. And if you're a awards member or whatever, which I wasn't until I just signed up, 25,000 free points, which I looked and like that's like a free flight somewhere. I don't know if you knew that. That was today. I just did all that. So like if you redeem your rewards, you basically get a free flight on Southwest.
I'll have to look into that because did you get your flight reimbursed along with that?
I don't believe so. I think it's just hey, sorry, we were a shit show. Here's 25,000 points. Use this code to redeem it. And you can use the points to book flights. So I was looking into it. Like, I was like, okay, maybe this covers like a little bit of a flight. Like you can get like a full flight or two with that many points.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
I got my full reimbursement for it. So I don't know. I'll have to look into that about the points. I'm not a rewards member, so probably.
It's free to sign up. I'm a rewards member on Delta, Frontier, and now Southwest.
Dang, you just sky miles out here.
Sky miles, dude. You got to get them, dude. If you fly, you might as well.
I like we got an early comment from Jeffrey talking about he's sad about SMU not being able to compete tonight. I looked at the score early tonight, and it was Houston had a lead of 34-6, maybe 36-4. I don't know. I'm kind of dyslexic sometimes, but they were winning by a lot with like the first 10 minutes into the game. I think they're a pretty impressive ball club. Haven't spent a ton of time on college basketball with it still being bowl season. I've been really tapping into the NFL, but I think Houston is a pretty strong basketball squad. I don't know if you guys have been able to watch them at all, but
yeah, Houston's a team. I haven't been following college basketball too much yet, but Houston's been a team for the past like 4 years. I feel like I've put my Final Four every single year, like bet on, just because I've seen them play against the Bearcats and they're always so strong. And I know we were talking about before we hopped on here that they're like the second ranked team in the country and they're dog walking SMU right now. So that's good, dude. I mean, you got to think about how good the Big 12 is going to be in basketball next year. Adding us in Houston, like we're not the same program that we were a couple of years ago, but we have a shot to get back to where we were. I think historically we're a really good basketball program, but like Houston's been unreal for the past, 5 years now.
Yeah.
I don't know if UCF's trending upwards or not in basketball. BYU, I don't know much about what their program looks like, but I feel like the Big 12, that's adding 2 really solid programs in UC and Houston after I think they're like already the best. I guess it's arguable. You can argue it, but the Big 12 is a great basketball conference.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. As Vermont's game finally came to a close, Bearcats are up 11-7 near early in the first half. No, I'm excited, dude. It was either last week. I was talking to somebody, I can't remember. I'm like, man, Bill Self is going to be in Fifth Third Arena. Like, that's just so wild to like comprehend. I don't know, just like an icon, just like that in the college basketball world.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, dude, there's a lot of cool shit that's going to happen from moving to the conference. Like Oklahoma or Texas, is going to be playing at NIT. Like, did you ever think that would happen? Right? I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's nuts. I kind of hope we get Texas in Cincy because Oklahoma. We've done the home and home with Oklahoma, and I really hope they keep the game at Nippert. I don't want to go to Paul Brown again, but I'm fearful that that's probably what they're going to have happen. But no, it's going to be awesome, dude. And
I hope not.
They'll never play at Paul Brown Stadium again.
Good.
One, remember when those first games happened, they hadn't redone Nippert.
Right.
So the suites hadn't been put in. People paid a lot of money for those suites.
Yeah.
2, what they found out when they did that was that there's a lot of conflicts that lose Cincinnati a lot of money. Skyline, Gold Star.
Yep.
Pepsi, Coke. So like Cincinnati had to forfeit all of that concessions and sponsorship money with those companies because they were playing at a stadium that did not serve those products. So obviously you're not going to make any money from that.
Yeah.
All that money went to the Bengals. So I think you can rest very comfortably in the fact that Big 12 games will all be at Nippert Stadium. They have no incentive to move things down to the river anymore.
We'll only play.
I thought about creating a burner account on Twitter and just tweeting at you, Chad, and starting to ask when the Bearcats were going to play at Paul Brown just to see if I could get you going on there. You guys never seen when Chad gets there's always like 1 or 2 people on Twitter that love to like tweet at Chad and ask him like, are we going to play at Paul Brown? And then Chad tells them no. And then they have like this big emotional, like upsetting that they're not going to play down. And then Chad, it's this whole thing. Chad, you can explain. It's awesome.
Dude,
it sucks.
Sucks.
It's sterile. It's very sterile.
Awful.
Yeah, it's just like the atmosphere stinks and the stadium itself stinks. And
All right, Cleveland.
dude, it is the most underwhelming.
It's not good. It's
ever.
awful.
It really is. But it looks awesome when you're like coming down the highway and you can see like on the water. It looks pretty dope. But I mean, yeah, obviously, like if you look into like the concessions and it wouldn't make sense mathematically and from a financial standpoint. But I feel like if you're moving to a conference, like you can't play every game in a different stadium, right? That's part of the thing is your stadium. So it is good to hear that every game is going to be played at Nippert, which it should be. Like that's part of who we are in our program is to play in that stadium, that environment. So, dude, should we set up like a road trip? Should we just go on like a Big 12 road trip next year? And just go to different locations.
Yeah, my goal. I mean, I think this but like the fact of the matter is like when we were in the AAC, still being in the AAC, right? Like what stadium? What the heck kind of stadium would you want to go to in the AAC right now? That would be good fans, good atmosphere outside of UCF. I mean, seriously, is there another stadium? Even Houston, they don't fill up their football stadium.
No, their environment was terrible.
Rough.
You've talked about before going to Annapolis was cool.
Yeah, that was really cool just because of the tradition and there's a lot of nice people there. But still, like if you were to give me a pick between Annapolis and going to, Texas Tech or West Virginia, like I'm going to choose Texas Tech or West Virginia, right? Because of the football tradition, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I'm just excited in general to be able to every week watch a game. Like I feel like in the American, if we go 8-4 or 9-3 or 7-5, it's like considered like a horrible season, right? Like we even can talk about this past year. Moving into the Big 12, both football and basketball, you have more margin to lose. Not to say you don't want to go undefeated, you don't want to be one of those programs because you do, and we can still get there. But ultimately, like if you're playing and you're 7-3 at some point in the year, or you're 6-4 and you have one more game left and TCU's coming to TCU, having that chance to like spoil a season still or beat a top 25 team, like we don't get that in the American. Like you don't get that in the American unless you run the table and go undefeated, and then like a Tulane or a UCF runs the table and goes undefeated. So that's part of the problem.
New Orleans to play the Green Wave
and like all 8 of their fans.
Dude, how about them? You know how much I acted like it's a lot, but for me it was a lot. How much money I lost on USC. I thought USC beating Tulane was like the lock of the century. I thought that was like free money for everybody.
Go Green Wave.
And fucking Tulane, dude. I mean, shout out to them. They had a great season. I didn't believe in them. Watching them against us, I was like, yeah, they're okay. I just think that we're not very good and they're better than us. But like, dude, they went out and they were phenomenal against USC. That was an awesome game.
It also looked like
crazy.
They had a plan for attack. They had a game plan. They went out. They executed it, right? Like they knew they had to score more points, some different stuff. And I mean, it takes a couple big plays, takes a couple lucky plays to win a game like that when you're not the better on paper.
But they didn't even I saw a stat something saying that Tulane, I don't know if they even forced a turnover. Like it wasn't like all these like things like that had to happen. They just like outplayed them when it came down to it. And they made the plays when it mattered most. And that Tulane running back's unreal. Spears, I mean, that guy's
such a dog.
He's so good. Pratt made the big time throws when he had to. It's crazy. I mean, shout out to the American, man. Get another. What's up with every American team able to win their New Year's Six bowls again, except for somebody else?
Well, I'd like our chances against USC and Penn State too.
Yeah.
We just happen to draw.
Josiah made a good. Josiah's in our Rock of Truth group chat, and he talks with us, and he made a good point. Like, would you rather play USC or Auburn or play Alabama and Georgia? And it's like, yeah, I'd rather Penn State play any of those teams before I have to play a Georgia or an Alabama.
1,000%.
Yeah.
I don't know how. What's that?
Do you have the game on right now?
Watching it. Yeah, I'm watching it.
Bearcats are up 17-14.
Not only 6 of 16 from the field, but 5 of them are threes. 5 of 9 from 3. Not too shabby.
Since we talk about betting a lot on this podcast, Joe, I don't know how much you've indulged with Statty. I know you've kind of went through. What's it like, the new world of legal gambling in the state of Ohio?
Dude, so Sunday was the first day, right? I'm like, okay, well, there's only one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Hollywood to the sports book. Like, the Bengals don't play it till Monday, right? So we go. It's me and three other homies. We go down, and I mean, this is the most Cincinnati thing ever. Just not prepared whatsoever. They had Indiana and Nebraska women's basketball on until about 1:15 on the TVs.
Really?
And there was some Bills fans in there that were just letting the managers have it. They're like, did you not get the Sunday ticket? Like, we're here to watch football. Like, it was hilarious. It was just comedy. But no, it's kind of fun. I don't know, it's cool. I mean, not doing a ton, but doing my fair share.
It's like, because I was in New Orleans this past weekend for a wedding, and it's legal there too. And I wouldn't have downloaded anything or like done anything, but like all my boys back home, we're talking about it 'cause it's legal in Ohio. So I downloaded DraftKings, and like, it's just so easy to use, and it's like it makes it look so much cooler. Like, it's so much more fun. You can do like $1 bet on like a 10-team parlay, and like, it's just, I don't know, it's kind of like addicting, which is not good because I know gambling is an issue and it's addictive, but like, there's so much more you can do that's really cool, and they have all like the free plays and like the props and stuff, and it's pretty dope. And like, I was in a casino too that had a sports book, and that's my first time experiencing that. It was just kind of cool to see.
It's just a fun vibe. I mean, it's pretty overwhelming after the 1 o'clock slate. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but that's cool though. Like, a couple of your boys, like, hey, we're gonna like get some food, drink some beer, play some bets, obviously, like, responsibly and everything. But like, I mean, what more can you ask for on like a Sunday, Saturday?
With it, all of them now, it's so funny because, again, this is the first week of it in Ohio, and the free promos are just unbelievable.
Yeah, like my first 1 yard or whatever.
My first, it was I got $25 in free play, and then they did a promo of a $50 play where if the Browns score 1 point, you get $50. Like, it was like plus 100 odds, right? So even payout. And then they do the same thing the next night with the Bengals, and then tonight they did it with the Buckeyes scoring a point. It's just like, it's crazy. It's it's literally
free money,
free bread. So they're doing their justice and doing good at getting people to sign up. I think there was another one, or last night was the Cavs to make 1-3. So they're taking all the opportunities.
They started like 0 for 14 from 3.
Yeah, they did. Dude, it was wild. It was wild, but no, man. It's just kind of cool.
I like
it. It's been very unique.
I like it.
I can't believe Florida is one of those states that's behind.
You would think like Florida, that like all bets are off and everything, but I think it was legal for like a day, like a year or two ago. But like the Seminole tribe is the one who like runs all like
that's right.
in Florida, and they like didn't approve it. So I guess it was legal for like 1 day, and then they kind of came back and X-nayed that whole thing. Yeah, it's been cool though. Did you guys? I'm assuming, honestly, the college football playoff? You guys both, I'm assuming, watched that.
I watched the Ohio State Georgia game more than Michigan TCU, as I had a dinner at 4, but I got to see the second half, like midway through the third is when I caught the Michigan drama, and it was like 5 minutes of real time went by, and there was like 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I was able to watch more of the TCU Michigan game, to be honest, and it was a great game back and forth. Watched a little bit of the Ohio State. Actually rewatched. I was at a wedding, so I couldn't really see the late game. I rewatched it. CJ Stroud was unbelievable in that game, and
I got a question.
Pretty banged up, but he was incredible. Yeah.
Why doesn't CJ Stroud do the same thing as Smith and Jigba this year? I mean, that was his draft stock game. Like, why would he play next season?
Who?
Stroud.
He's not coming back.
Oh, he's declaring. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Never mind. Cool.
Yeah, no, he's gone.
Okay.
I mean, he might be the first overall pick. I don't know why.
I think he should be. Okay, never mind.
It was incredible. I mean, that was a great game. That dude, he shanked the hell out of that kick.
Dude, a senior? What? Really? It's 50 yards.
I think he's pretty solid too. It was like he didn't even give him like a shot. Like, it didn't even look like it would have a chance.
Like it had a better chance to hit the front left pylon of the end zone than it did the upright,
which is crazy.
That's nuts. Bearcats are on a run right now. They're up 27-16.
Was there a part of you that wanted Georgia to know what it felt like to lose on a field goal at the buzzer like that?
No,
not really. I kind of just wanted Ohio State to feel the pain of missing that field goal.
I hate Ohio State, so I was totally okay either way.
I was with all Ohio State fans, like diehard Ohio State fans, and I watched the whole thing. Just, it was brutal. Absolutely brutal.
What do you think about TCU? Like, you think it was just time? It was just time for Michigan to finally lay an egg, or are you buying Duggan and Sonny Dykes over there in TCU?
Yeah. I'm just not buying the Big Ten.
Oh,
I mean, I don't know why no one talks about it that much, but like, I just outside of Ohio State, has anyone in the Big Ten ever earned the respect of like a top tier program or ever even came close? Like, I mean, I know Michigan's made the playoff the last 2 years, which is great. Last year they got killed by Georgia. This year they lost to TCU. So I just don't – outside of Ohio State, I don't really know if there's a program in the Big Ten that has the respect of a big-time, top-tier program, in my opinion. I don't know where you guys stand on that, but I think the Big Ten stinks for most of the conference.
Oh, they're bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's – who's that means? Ohio State and Michigan are top tier. Penn State's like kind of up there. I imagine Wisconsin and Penn State will kind of be there, and then like
Michigan State,
Iowa, Michigan State are probably below there. I mean,
it's bad, dude.
It's not great.
The Big Ten West stinks.
You're saying you don't think Rutgers athletics competes?
You know, here's my problem. Like, if you take Ohio State out of the conference, how different is the Big Ten than some of these other conferences that aren't the SEC, that are Power 5? Ohio State is the ACC has always had, like, in my opinion, the ACC has been bad at football for a year compared to like the SEC. I'm comparing everything to the SEC. Hopefully we understand this. Like when we talk like big time college football, right? So my thing is like, once Clemson started to go on this decline, everyone started being like, man, the ACC just was so good that they would get to the college football playoff and everyone would be like, respect the ACC because Clemson was good. That's my problem is like, we try and like convince ourselves of this Power 5 thing and all these different teams and all these different conferences. But the reality is, if you're not one of the best teams in the SEC, or you're Ohio State or something, are you, in my opinion, that's my question. That's part of my problem right now with college football in the Power 5 is like we try and hype up all the Big Ten stuff. And reality is, outside of Ohio State, Michigan, who else has really like earned my respect? I mean, Penn State hasn't earned my respect, Soppy. What have they done? No, what have they done?
Utah in the Rose Bowl.
That's great. Guess how many how many people sit out for games like that now?
But did Utah have anybody? I mean, their starting quarterback got hurt, but he was.
I don't know, dude. I didn't watch the game. I had no interest in watching the Rose Bowl.
Well, I did because I bet on Utah.
That's awesome.
I bet on Utah good, and Utah got their ass handed to them by a Penn State team that I had no faith in whatsoever. Jeffrey here's too saying he was shocked by what happened. I was shocked. I thought Utah would roll Penn State. It was complete opposite. Sean Clifford, Cincinnati native. Dude, I didn't realize he holds every single Penn State record.
Yeah, but
wins,
okay.
Downs, yards. He was great in that game.
Is the Pac-12 that good?
Who is good then, other than the SEC?
No one. That's what I'm saying. No one's even. I mean, Ohio State's good. The fact that Ohio State lost to Michigan last year is embarrassing because they have so much more talent, and it's unbelievable to me that they find ways to lose that game. I mean, it's just, in my opinion, both years have been complete coaching things. I mean, they have way more talent, in my opinion. But
how bad? Like, the expansion playoffs sounds cool because it's exciting, but like, how many of those games are just going to be absolute blowouts?
Well, I don't see. That's what I think. Everyone's like, that's what I'm trying. Like, that's what I'm saying. Outside of like the top 2 SEC teams every year, and maybe Ohio State, like I don't really see everyone else being like this huge disparity thing. Like outside of that top 2 or 3, the disparity isn't as large as you would think it is. That's why I think the playoffs going to be a ton of fun. Because you're going to get more games like Michigan and TCU. Like Michigan, like TCU's good, but they're going to get smoked by Georgia in the final. I mean, they're a good football team though. But guess what? If they get smoked by Georgia in the final, I'm okay with it because we got 2 great semifinal games. I'm hoping more playoff games look like that in the future because we're going to have more, like there's going to be more, it's going to be an equal playing field in my opinion. Like the fact that people were even considering USC for the playoff was crazy with them being in the Pac-12, but in the future, that's not as crazy anymore because they'll start out with playing someone like Tulane or someone like that, and then there will be closer football games, and we'll have cooler stuff like that happen, which makes it more fun for everyone, in my opinion.
So you think? So I think Georgia's by far the best team in the country. I thought Georgia was going to roll over Ohio State, and honestly, they didn't really deserve to win that game. So do you think that Georgia's just going to roll TCU?
Yes, but you got Ohio State's built to beat Georgia. They have all the 5-star talent. They have the weapons. They just didn't put it together all year. Whenever Ohio, if we know anything about Ohio State over the last 10 years, when they lose a game, it's like everyone celebrates because they lost. But the fact of the matter is, they're way more dangerous once they lose a game than when they're undefeated. Because now they got Ryan Day or Urban Meyer, whoever, in their ear about losing a game they lost, and they're more motivated, and then all that talent comes. I mean, in my opinion, I would rather play an undefeated Ohio State than play a team that's lost a game in Ohio State. I mean, their best teams, in my opinion, that I've watched have all came into the playoff with a loss and looking for revenge in some sort of. But Ohio State's built to beat Georgia. TCU's, I don't think they're built to beat Georgia. I hope they do. I'm rooting for them, but they're not. In my opinion, they're not built to beat Georgia. If that makes sense, they don't have the talent, the size. I don't think they have the ability to beat them. If I'm being honest.
What do you think Ohio State does to TCU?
I think they beat them too. I don't think they beat them as bad, but I think they beat them by 2 scores, 3 scores. I mean, in the end, I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I'm not saying I'm going to be right. That's just my thought. I mean, I think Ohio State was way better than Michigan this year. I still can't understand how Michigan beat them. That's why the Ryan born on third joke is so funny, is because like he's literally ended up anything new with it compared to what people in the past had done with it. That's where that joke becomes funny, is like you just don't understand how they could even lose to Michigan, in my opinion, because they have better talent. I mean, That's my opinion. So I'm just pumped that in the future for the playoff, I think there's going to be a lot more close games like we saw last weekend, which was awesome for college football. It was so fun to watch. I sat on my couch and watched TV the entire day because of how good the games were, which was awesome, which is what we all want.
You didn't do anything exciting for New Year's Eve?
I watched football.
That is
I'm not a
exciting.
big New Year's Eve guy. Are we going to have this debate? Do you guys like New Year's?
You want to talk about being an overrated holiday?
Most overrated.
I
don't know. Sapi, I could see you loving New Year's Eve.
Dude, it's always like stressful because there always has to be a plan. Like there's supposed to be this big, like extravagant plan, and nobody ever has a plan. And then you're just stressing about like making this big plan for this night. That's just, I do think it's overrated. Like I always try to, when it comes up, I try to do something to make the most fun out of it. I was at a wedding this year, so you're already at a party, and it just kind of like didn't really feel like New Year's, just felt like a wedding. So that was fun. But
yeah, looked fun.
It was a lot of fun, dude. In New Orleans, it was really cool. And they do this thing called like the second line, where after they get married, the couple goes out and there's like a live band. Like they got like saxophone and they're playing like, like a jazz upbeat band. And like the couple walks like in front of the band, and then everybody else walks behind the band. You take like a stroll around the neighborhood and they're just playing and you're walking and dancing. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Were you following me, Statty? You were looking like you weren't really following along with what I was saying.
I was. I'm just trying to keep tabs on what the Bearcats are doing. It's conference play now, so I'm trying to, dive into the hoop season.
Statty's just diving into Bearcat basketball, and I love it.
Yeah.
33-20. Davenport's got 13 points off the bench.
Maybe he should start coming off the bench more.
Part of his problem has been he hasn't made shots that he's made in the past the last few years. So when you're missing shots and you're taking 13, 14 shots a game, that's not good for your team, right? I mean, that's just basic. I mean, it sounds so basic, but it really is. I think that's simple at times. And then it just becomes taking worse. When he's making shots and he's taking the right shots, he's super, super helpful, and he's going to help us win. But especially on nights where, a Landers Nolly's not getting it going from the field the way you'd like him to, having another scorer who can score, which you would expect out of him. He just hasn't been able to put consistently this year. So hopefully, I like him coming off the bench as like a 6th, 7th man. I think that's a better role for him than starting at the 4 and having to, usually at the beginning of games, you're going to have to, sometimes it's sloppy at the beginning of basketball games. You got to guard people. And I think it's nice to have Odie in there at the 4 where you can have a little bit added rebounding and maybe some rim protection and then some defense. And then you can bring him in off the bench and he's going to knock down a few shots for you. I think that's kind of the recipe for success, hopefully. I mean, I really like him coming off the bench. I was hoping he would come off the bench sooner. I think it's a better fit for him. Sometimes one of your best 5 scorers and best 5 players can also be a 6th, 7th man. I know sometimes that role can be hard to accept. If you have a great player that can accept that role, that's huge to have scoring off. So you'd like him to succeed and have, this continued success, because obviously I know he's had a tough senior year so far. He wants it bad. He's from the Cincinnati. He's a guy you want to root for. So I'm glad he's scoring here tonight.
So, yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched enough of this season to give a fair analysis on his growth this year. You kind of just know what you're going to get out of him. He's going to give you a lot of effort, give you a lot of noise, and he's going to chuck up a lot of shots.
That's for sure.
It is what it is.
That's for sure. But he hasn't had the best year so far, but I think just getting him into maybe a new role can kind of help him out a little really well tonight, which is a good sign, right? You're going to need him. I mean, if they want to win Sunday's going to be really win against Houston. Obviously, they're going to have home court advantage. I don't know what the crowd will look like considering the fact Bengals Ravens are at 1. That's kind of tough now that I'm thinking about it. So that will be tough, but they're going to need him to score. I mean, him, David, and Landers are all going to have to score if you want to have a chance. That's just to have a chance on Sunday, I think. I think we're capable. They just got to play. And if they play good basketball, here you shoot another one. Odie's so awesome, man. Odie's like the epitome of a Bearcat.
Odie
If you was Statty, you would love Odie, dude.
Well, that's who got the start over Davenport tonight, right?
Yeah, but he's just so tough. He rebounds, he guards people. He's just so tough. Like he's just like he kind of gives Mick Cronin Bearcat vibes, if that makes sense.
Okay.
The most exciting offensive player.
Yeah, and Joe, I think you're gonna love it. What's really good about tonight's game right now? Sure, Wichita State's really down. They're not the Wichita of old we were talking about earlier this week. Like this game used to be, like the number 1 seed for the conference.
Yeah.
Come tournament play, like late in the year. They're sitting at 7-7, but you're gonna love this because you and I bicker back and forth about it. But DeJoy's having a tough night. 1 of 6, 3 points, and they're up 11 on the road right now. So
yeah, he does though. I told you this though. He's been awesome. I was never happier to be wrong. I think with this size, sometimes I want to be a number 1, and he's been, in my opinion, he's been the number 1 this year. It helps having Landers and other guys that can score around him to open things up for him, but he's been the number 1 by far. And when he's on an off night, he usually gets going, Statty, about right early on in the second half. Like, he finds a way to digits almost every night, even if he's having a tough first half, which is like everything you want out of one of your best players. But he's been nothing but awesome. I mean, he brings it. He tries to bring it almost every night. There hasn't where I've walked away being like, he didn't play well. He didn't play well in Maui a few games, but after that, he's played well almost every other game this season. We got Sapi. We got a segment tonight, right? Our Mount Rushmore segment. What do we got going on? Give the fans and the listeners a little glimpse of what we're about to do here.
Yeah. Did we decide that we wanted to do favorite Bearcat teams?
Yeah.
So
I'm excited. I'm excited for Jeffrey's answer.
So we're gonna do. Let's not do 4. Let's do top 3.
Yeah.
Favorite Bearcat teams of all time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can it be teams we never really got to see, or does that have to be a team you've watched?
Give me anybody, dude. Like it can be somebody that you got to watch, a team that you got to be on, a team that you've just heard the stories about, seen the footage, whoever you want, dude. Just top 3 favorite Bearcat teams of all time, and that's not just football. It's not just basketball. Any sport, any year. We're gonna do our top 3 teams.
Love it.
How do we want to do the order? Statty, do you ever gonna go first?
I'd love to have the first pick.
We want to go Statty, Joe, me.
That's good. That's good.
Man, all right. I'm gonna go. I can't remember the year. I'm gonna need Joe Matt to help me out. But the Hoop Squad with Deion Dixon, Yancey, Young, SK, Cash, the team that beat Florida State.
That was the 2012 team, I believe.
2012.
Yeah.
Gosh, what a year
Chad,
to be a Bear.
That team was awesome. My team is going to be my team is going to be the team. My first team I'm going to take that I loved about the game was that year they lost in Nevada in the second round. I know we don't like to talk about that. Was that 2017, 2018? Was it 2017? I think it was 2017.
17.
But
16, 17, yeah.
That was brutal.
18 was mixed last year. 19 and 20 were the first two Brandon years.
We hired the JV.
17, right? Was the year they lost in Nevada.
17. Yep.
That team was awesome. Like I am. I don't know if you guys. I know you guys remember in college like me, but that team was awesome. Like, I mean, there wasn't a player really you didn't like. I love that team. But go ahead.
For my first pick, I'm gonna go with the easy pick, the 2021 Bearcat football team. Let's see, Jeffrey put the same thing in here in the chat. I mean, obviously, first appearance in the college football playoff, first non-Power 5 school to make it to the college football playoff, 9 draft picks from that squad. I was able to be a part of it, something that like will always be a huge memory of mine. Just being able to be a part of that and how good we were and how much talent we had. That was just an incredible run. It was a lot of fun to be a part of. So that's my number 1 team. My number 2 team, I'm going to stick with football, but I'm going to go with the 2009 Pike to Bins year. Wasn't a diehard Bearcat fan then, but, you know, I know they had like a good season before that, but huge for the program. That's an iconic call from Dan Horde. You know, I worked with Armand, great guy. I have the bobblehead. Huge for the program. So I'm going 2019.
So my second pick is actually going to be the team before that year, the Orange Bowl team from 2008. And I actually like that team more than the Sugar Bowl team. I just thought they were awesome. Terrell Bird. They had Dominic Goodman. They had some guys on that team that I loved that weren't on the Sugar Bowl team. And that was like the first year. Like that was the year the Bearcats like arrived. Like we were in Miami for the Orange Bowl. And when they came out of the tunnel, the Bearcat players did. That was the moment. Statty, you went to Miami. Like I woke up on Christmas morning with stocking full of oranges. Because like my dad, like, I thought I wasn't going to the game. Thought my dad was the only one going, and so I woke up with a stocking full of oranges. And when they ran out of that tunnel in Miami, that was like that moment where you're like, "Holy crap!" Like the Bearcats have arrived. Like growing up, I never would have ever imagined or thought being like a BCS bowl game. So that was the moment where it was like, "Oh my goodness, we've arrived." So that team was one of my favorite teams ever.
Yeah, that was, dude, Dominic Goodman. What a name you just dropped.
A Coleraine legend.
1-6.
Yeah.
Just taking up top over top of defenses.
How do we get him on the pod?
We probably could.
Yeah. Okay, Statty, let's hear your pick.
Wow, you guys had some hammers right there. You know, I'm going to pick a team as being a member of, just because I think it was we've talked about it before a little bit on the pod, about the bowl game in this season, but I think it was one of the years that really helped kind of get the Bearcat football program just back on pace. And I'm going to pick the Military Bowl team. Was that 18, Soppy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. This was a fun team. I just loved that bowl game. Just the Hayden Moore, the legacy game.
Yeah, that was a dope game.
You know, I think you had just some legends playing their last game as a Bearcat with Cortez and I think it was Cope's last game as well. So just, yeah. I don't know.
I like that.
That's my pick.
You have another pick. It's your last pick now.
Holy cow. I'm not ready for this.
I have one if you want to think about it.
No. It was electric going and watching Troy and Gary Clark hoop together. I don't even know what year, honestly. I'd say when did they win the American Conference tournament?
That was the year before. That was the year before the team that I took. They lost in Nevada. That was the team with Troy and Kevin. They lost to UCLA in the second round of the NCAA tournament that year.
Yeah, but they won the American tournament, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to take that team.
That team was good.
They didn't blow you away. They just it was a solid squad.
I kind of I see. Don't take this the wrong way. I loved Troy. I thought Troy was an awesome Bearcat. I never was ever someone who ever got mad at Troy or ever talked bad about Troy, but I didn't necessarily love Troy's game. Troy won a lot of basketball games because he was a floor general. He took care of the basketball. You could always trust him. He made some big shots. So I always liked Troy. But when we had Troy at point guard, we would, and it was part of mixed style, I think, but we would just walk the ball up and down the floor, and that would just drive me crazy as a basketball fan. I always wanted to play faster. So when Troy, I think part of why I loved that team that year they lost in Nevada was they got up and down a lot faster, and probably because they had Kane and Justin and Jaron and Jacob and some other dudes running the one and getting up and down a little bit quicker. But also they could score, but then they could also still guard people if they weren't scoring the basketball. There were games where they would, I think that year was the year they beat, I think it was Houston at home. That year they beat Nevada. They lost in Nevada. They beat Houston at home, scored 89 points, right?
Yeah.
But then they played them in the American Tournament Championship, and they won 51-49 or something like that. So they found so many different ways to win, which I appreciated. Now I love Troy. I think he's an awesome Bearcat, but I think part of the reason I probably didn't love that team, as much as maybe you did, was because I just couldn't stand him walking the ball up and down the floor all the time.
Yeah, that's where we're opposite. I love that. I just love his gamesmanship.
You guys are done, right?
What's up?
You guys are done with your draft, right?
No, I got one more
Poppy's
pick.
got his last one, I believe.
I have my last one too.
I think, yeah, they both got one.
I'm taking the 2006 Bearcat team. So I'm taking the 2006 Bearcat team. They actually didn't even make the tournament. They went to the NIT. But that was their first year in the Big East. They had just lost Bob Huggins. It was their first year in the Big East. Andy Kennedy was the head coach. Eric Hicks, James White. They were completely, in my opinion, they should have been in the NCAA tournament. They were good enough to be in the NCAA tournament. They kind of got screwed. I don't think they kind of got screwed. They did get screwed. But I love that team. That was in my opinion, Devin Downey was on that team. That team was a lot of fun to watch. I still to this day am mad that team didn't get a chance at the NCAA tournament, but I did love that team just because of everything they represented. It was obviously there was going to be a new era coming up in Bearcat basketball, and all those guys just played so hard that year. And it was the first year in the Big East. It was a tough year, but I liked that team a lot. That was one of my favorite teams as a kid to watch. Soppy?
I'm pretty sure you took 4, but that's fine. I wasn't going to take your.
What do you mean?
Didn't he have 4 teams?
I only had 3. I was just explaining to Statty why I didn't love his pick.
I got you. Either way, I'm going to take the 2019 women's soccer team. They had a great run that year. They went 7-9-3. I was at a lot of games. I was very close to a lot of girls on the team. They were all seniors. They really gave it their all. Couple games that I remember specifically that were electric. We played Xavier at Nippert.
It was sick.
Big deal playing at Nippert Stadium, tied in 2 overtime, 0-0. That was just electric. And also the to close out the conference play that year at home, Halloween night, the vibes were electric in Gettler Stadium. Tied ECU 0-0, double overtime. Just a lot of fun memories going to Gettler Stadium, getting jacked up, cheering on the girls, calling for the head coach to be fired, which was probably out of line. But
hey, it worked.
But hey, it worked a couple years down the road. Was just doing my girls a service and asking, saying what they wanted to say, but they couldn't. But that was just a hell of a run by them. The best 7, 9, and 3 soccer team I've ever seen. So they're my number 3 of best Bearcat teams of all time.
That's honorable.
92, 93, 2000 basketball. Final 4, Elite 8, number 1 team in the country.
I had 92 written down.
I didn't feel right taking them, considering I was either 3 years old or not alive yet. That was
yeah.
I was old enough.
Yeah.
Good for
That would
me.
be
I was
that would have
old
been my
enough.
my uncle and my dad would have taken those teams, Chad.
Thanks, Joe. I want to say some cuss words to you right now, but thanks. I mean, I came in at the end and got 3 of the 5 best teams in my lifetime.
Clearly, you didn't watch in 2019.
You playing music?
Women's soccer team, but
That's Aaron. Something's going on in the background at his house.
Sorry, Aaron.
Chad, you didn't like my.
I had the game on the other monitor.
You really didn't like my talk about Copain, did you?
I mean, I get what you're saying. That wasn't a team that played with great tempo, definitely. But Troy was an outstanding point guard and outstanding team leader.
He was awesome. He's a great leader, great player. He made some big shots, and they won a lot of games because of him. Like, he won them a lot of games because he never turned the ball over. He was an awesome point guard. The way I love to watch basketball up and down. So sometimes it would just drive me crazy, like some of those 50-45, 55-50 games. But that was part of what I loved about Mick, was they just found ways to win in whatever way they could with whatever team they had.
Well, and they were that was his junior year was kind of the team that started, like the first team really in the country that played that 25 matchup zone that a lot of teams use right now. They kind of revolutionized zone defense, playing that zone those 3 years.
Chad,
3 or 4 years.
You would have loved to seen me at the 5 in the 25 matchup with the McNick Rockets. It was elite.
I bet. I can only imagine you pushing people around.
We would whoop the hell out of Taft every time.
And look, that is a difficult defense. Like, to play it well, that is a difficult defense to play well. That was not a good man-to-man team, which is why Mick did that. Troy and Gary were not – like, Gary was a really good defender, but was not an elite, like, straight-up, on-ball, man-to-man defender. Yeah. So Mick that was actually – it came from the Maryland coach.
He kind of looks like the Maryland mascot.
It was his dad, I think, that
he does.
Or no, it was. Damn it! What is his freaking name?
In the turban. He looks like a terrapin.
No, it's the guy that was at Scott. There was at Seton Hall. Kevin Willard. It was Ralph Willard was the one who designed that defense, that created the 25 matchup zone, and then Mick used it from there. And Willard would come in every offseason and kind of go over like the principles and philosophies of it. But that was a team designed to just grind you out, Joe. That was who they were.
Yep.
And they moved it better once Kane and Justin, Jennifer kind of took over a little bit more of the point guard responsibilities. So I get where you're coming from. I don't agree I get why you hated those teams, but those were really, really good teams.
They're more fun. Listen, they're more fun. They're more fun than teams I've watched the last 4 years. So I never complained about those teams. Like, I love those teams. I kind of I was one of the biggest like Mick Cronin advocates. Like, anytime I would say anything bad about those teams or Mick on Twitter, I would have like a serious problem where I would like have to like just delete Twitter altogether so I wouldn't get in like big Twitter fights. But
I got in those Twitter fights.
I know you did. And I liked before I ever knew you, I was liking all your tweets when you were arguing for Mick. So I appreciated that. But those teams were awesome. It was just, I think there was moments of some of those teams where the slow pace would just drive you crazy as a basketball fan. But they had to do what they had to do to get wins in certain moments, and they always did that.
Right. So yeah, I think I did pretty good with my 3 picks after the draft.
You did a great job.
I feel confident.
Aaron, did you have 3 picks?
I was really struggling to listen here and to the game, so I've been in and out.
Perfect.
You could still get the 20 Bearcats.
I got a question.
Football, you could still get them.
Aside from a big name player of any team of the basketball team, who's been your guys' favorite Bearcat basketball like role player?
Rashad Bishop.
Nice.
Case closed. Not even a question. Want to hear a great Rashad Bishop story?
Sure.
Nobody
heard this story.
Nobody would sit down in the chair that Rashad was in after he would come out of the game, and then when he would go back in, nobody would sit in that chair because he was just sweating Hennessy.
Sweating Hennessy?
Hennessy, yeah. Like they had to like.
Who's on that Henny?
That cognac.
Yeah, he was ripping Henny before games.
That's awesome.
Man.
Yeah, Marshawn.
That and he would also, you know, that like when they go into the locker room and they do like the alma mater and like the little like, you know, and then they come back out and do the final layup lines and then the starting lineup. He would go out that door right there by the locker room and rip a Newport.
That's incredible.
Wow.
And then come in and be the most fit, most badass like perimeter defender in the Big East with like limitless stamina.
They built them different back then.
They did. But look, Capo was a different human. That was unlike any other human I've ever seen. But that one's an easy for me.
Yeah.
It's Rashad Bishop.
Daddy, who's your favorite role player of all time?
Well, you guys probably are going to put an asterisk next to it because he eventually was a starter, but how he got his claim to fame was a role player, and mine's going to be Jumpin' Jack.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. That was my read when you said I would object. But no, I give you – you want to hear a great Justin Jackson story?
Of course. He's might be my favorite human ever.
So I used to sit when they had – like, you know where the TV announce team sits?
Yep.
On the opposite side where there's just that one table. There used to be 2 tables there.
Yep.
And the 4 media people would sit, and then the next table would be the TV broadcast crew. So I'm sitting there next to one of the ladies that's like the spotter, that's like pointing out the names and like sliding statistics to the broadcast crew. And Justin comes flying for a loose ball and jumps right between me and this lady. And I saw it coming because I'm used, like, I knew what happened when Jack was running like that. He's coming. So I kind of like moved, and Jack wiped her out, like just wiped her out. She crashes backwards onto the floor. She's okay, but she's getting up and she's like getting her bearings back. And she's like, you know, giving this to her face. And she's like, "Am I bleeding?" And I'm like, "Oh, honey, no, that's ass sweat." You got the whole backside of Justin Jackson right across your face to knock you out. And I think when I told her, like, no, it's not blood, and she realized what it was, I think she probably would have rather been bleeding.
You said, yeah, it was blood.
Yeah. He gave Mark Slaughter at Channel 5, he gave him a concussion down at Louisville. Remember the SK game down at Louisville where they were up 19 and Louisville stormed back, and then they held on to win. He gave Mark a concussion diving in on the baseline for a loose ball.
What a legend.
He was wild. Jack was awesome. I love Jack.
Jumping Jack.
I saw him play AAU and maybe the most dysfunctional AAU team of all time.
Oh, it couldn't have been pretty. Not a chance.
It was Austin Rivers and Brandon Knight were the two guards on his team. And they absolutely hated each other and would like freeze each other out. So if one got the ball, they were not passing to the other one. And they were the only two guys that they were great, but they were the only two guys that shot basically, so Justin, the only way he could touch the ball was to rebound. That's why he learned to rebound the way that he rebounded the ball, because Brandon Knight and Austin Rivers were not passing to anyone.
What a legend.
That's a great story.
In the roundhouse.
I love your one of these days we need to just get you on, and I want to hear all like your AAU stories of like going and watching players and some of the fun stories you've got. You've got to have a ton.
Actually, I do. That actually was that one event that I saw, Justin, was the best event I ever saw. It was the year before they started the EYBL, which is like Nike's youth basketball league, elite youth basketball league. So back then it was still just like they had Nike teams and they had the Peach Jam, but they didn't have like the league associated with it. So they used to have this event in Atlanta called the Nike Memorial Day Classic.
Micah Adams-Woods is taking over.
Yeah.
What?
Balling. So they had it was who's the dude? You're gonna have to help me with names because my brain is broken right now. Played for the Warriors, Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes was the number one dude in the class. Josh Selby was at that event. Will Barton was at that event. They were on the same team. Austin Rivers and Brandon Knight were at that event. Terrence Ross, that was from Oregon, that played at Kentucky, was at that event. It was the most loaded event I think I've ever been at. And the way that the place was set up, they had 4 courts side by side by side by side, and they had the quarterfinals that started all at the same time. Another 3. And all 4 games went down to the wire with all 4 regulations ending within 30 seconds of each other. 3 of the games went to overtime, and all 3 of those games were decided within 30 seconds of each other. And it was the most intense, crazy basketball atmosphere I've ever seen. This place, it was called the Swanee Sports Academy in Swanee, Georgia, kind of on the outskirts of Atlanta. And it's not a huge place, but it was a really awesome place to watch an event like that. I've never seen anything like it. It was the most intense atmosphere. People are standing up on bleachers trying to watch, and there was a top 10 or 2 top 15 kids in all 4 games. So it was just elite player, elite player, elite player. It was I'll remember that forever, because that was one of those, you got done with it and it was what the fuck did I just witness? What the hell was that? I couldn't sleep that night because it was so intense. 5-star makes a shot to go up 1. 5-star comes down and answers. 5-star hits a 3. They tie it back up. It goes to overtime. I wish if that was something that happened 5 years later, there would be a documentary on that weekend, Memorial Day weekend in Atlanta. It was crazy.
That sounds electric.
It was great. I mean, just great. The best of the best playing, because the thing was, a lot of those dudes, as we found out, Harrison Barnes was kind of soft. He was an insanely talented player, but he wasn't the toughest dude.
He had a little soppy in him.
What?
Those dudes, I mean, ouch. Those dudes were all coming for the top spot, right? They were all, I'm better than this guy. I'm going to fucking prove that I'm the number one player in the class. So, like, dudes just had a chip on their shoulder. And it wasn't like the EYBL waters it down some now because they just know, like, there's going to be 6 events that we're all going at each other. This was like one of 2. You got that in the spring, and then you had the Peach Jam in the summer. Were like the only 2 times you had a chance to, like, you know, go head to head and prove your worth. So yeah,
I could see Harrison Barnes being like he's just weirdly really good at basketball, but really,
he didn't have any dog in him.
Yeah, really just like takes school seriously at the same time.
Yeah.
Great
player. I mean, he was, you know, you don't do what he did at the NBA level without being a great player.
No, he's a dog. He can get some buckets.
All right, I gotta go back to watching the second half of this game so me and Aaron can talk about it.
All right, fellas. Your night.
All right, have a good one, fellas.
Soppy, you ready to wrap this thing up? You got any last parting thoughts as we head out of here?
I think we gotta send them off with a natty pick.
Yeah, we got to do those picks. We didn't even talk about football, which we don't need to go into at this point because I'm sure Chad and Aaron have been talking about it in their podcasts all week long. But it looks like the Bearcats, the staff's coming together. Strength staff's coming together. They're making a lot of key hires, a lot of really good hires. Tom Manning, they're bringing over as their OC. And I like Tom Manning. He recruited me when he was at Toledo. He seemed like a good guy. I think he's done some good things at Iowa State, developed, you know, Breece Hall, Brock Purdy. I think Iowa State's not the easiest place to win, or I know they haven't been that exciting, but I think he's done well with that program, what he's been handed to him. So I think that's a good hire. It just looks like overall that, you know, Satterfield's doing a really good job putting the staff together. So I feel pretty good about that. And I saw they're keeping Walt, Bearcat guy, who's on the last staff. He's staying. And I know a lot of the guys like him, so that's big.
Big time.
So, you know, feel pretty good about that. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that before we.
No, I think you hit on the head. I think we can. You can definitely trust a head strength coach by the name of Nico. Kind of sounds like a legend. Sounds Electric Factory right there.
He there's a lot of really good strength coaches that have come from Ohio State, went through Ohio State. I know Mickey Marotti, who runs their strength program, is a legend in the strength community. So bringing anybody from there is a good play. So excited about that. Let's give our picks, man. We can wrap this up, give our picks. I think we're just going to go straight national championship game. And I had it pulled up. I'm trying to pull it up. Yeah. So spread is plus 12.5 for TCU. Plus 350 money line. The overs at 62.5. I'm gonna let you guys pick it. I got my DraftKings app here, so I'm gonna do like maybe a little fun parlay as my lock for the listeners. But
future boost.
You know, if you guys have a pick you want to give out, go for it.
The Rock of Truth faithful know who I'm rocking with. They've probably been my most picked lock of the week of the football season, and it's not the Horned Frogs. It's the Dogs.
You're just going Dogs money line?
I'm going Dogs to cover the 12.
12.5?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm going
17.
I do have a great Nico anecdote for you.
Let's hear it.
When Brady Collins left Mississippi State back in like 2013 or 14, whatever it was, you know who replaced him?
Was Nico.
When Brady Collins left Ohio State in December of 2016, you know who replaced him?
Nico.
When Brady Collins left Cincinnati in 2023, you know who replaced him? Nico.
Whoa.
That's pretty cool. Like, I think that's pretty cool that, like, Brady's never actually worked with him, but everywhere Brady has left, Nico has stepped in and taken over Brady's responsibilities.
Is he like trying to be Brady?
He might be. And that's
Chad,
okay.
I wanna say thanks for getting a haircut for tonight's show. It looks really good.
I mean, I usually have a hat on.
I know.
Yeah.
No, I genuinely think it looks good. It looks like you recently got a haircut.
I did recently get a haircut because having longer hair drives me nuts. And I know people with, no hair would get pissed off that I have great hair and I keep it short. But I appreciate the kind words. It's much easier to do these without a hat.
My hair's wild right now.
Whoa.
Aaron's trying to get some
Wolverine.
Aaron's trying to get some flow. He's trying to get that soppy flow.
Hugh Jackman over here, Wolverine. That's what the vibes I'm getting.
Better than Hugh Grant.
That's true. Joe, what's your pick?
Good tea.
My pick,
Matt, are you here?
TCU money line. I might as well end the year on like a wrong pick, so I'm picking TCU money line.
Okay.
If you're gonna win money, that's the way to go, Soppy.
No, dude.
it's
If you
not.
want to win money, you're gonna follow this bet here, okay?
Okay.
This is my 4-leg same game prop bet. Okay.
Okay.
So I am going to take. Oh, this. Hold on one second. I need to make sure this is a. Oh, dude,
you want us? Yeah,
can't-
you want us to
can't
win
do
money.
it
You want us to win?
You can't do a
Don't
same
remember
game
it.
parlay steady on prop bets. Yeah, you can, can't you?
Yeah.
Can you pull up your app steady of DraftKings?
You're in Florida, so it's probably not working.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't really show me
Hold on.
because I want the viewers to know what the payout would be.
Did you click on the game?
Yes.
You didn't slide the tab over? All right, what do you want?
All right. I want Stetson Bennett over 1.5 passing touchdowns.
Hold on. Stetson Bennett. Passing touchdowns.
Over 1.5.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the passing props are only on yards.
Okay, I got the. All right, screw it. We're not gonna go through all this time, but what it is it's Stetson Bennett over 1.5 passing touchdowns, minus 215. Parlay that with Max Duggan over 0.5 rushing touchdowns. It's plus 120. Max Duggan over 27.5 rushing yards. It's minus 120. Brock Bowers over 0.5 receiving touchdowns.
Why don't you just take Brock Bauer anytime touchdown score at minus 180?
I don't want it. I want a receiving touchdown. You guys, if you take those 4 props parlayed together, you're going to win a lot of money because it's going to hit and it's going to be a fat payout.
Ooh, can I throw in a fun one?
Yeah.
All you Ohio people, Brock Bowers first touchdown score plus 550.
I like that. I like
That'd
that.
be cool.
That would be cool. That would be fun.
Well, go Dogs. Can't wait to break it down next week. Good to be back. 2 weeks off. Happy holidays. Hope everybody had safe holidays. 2023 is here. Let's go Bearcats.
Let's go, Cats.
Go Bearcats, fellas. Have a great week.